Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the JBR Play podcast. Tonight you have me and Ben. Me is John.
Me is Ben.
So yes, welcome back everybody. We actually have a question from someone today, Mr. Kieran Jabby, who has asked us if we think 343 are going to make a Halo 3 anniversary, and would we want to see a Halo 3 anniversary? And how do we feel about remasters in general? How do we think they're a good idea? Do we think they're a bad idea? So let's start with Halo 3. Do you feel Halo 3 should get an anniversary treatment?
Well, we talked about it, didn't we? They upped it, the frame rates, so to match what
But there was no graphical improvements, there was no gameplay improvements.
I wouldn't complain if they did, but I don't think at this point in time, I don't think it's necessary because it still looks good. Halo 3. I think.
Yeah,
when I look at it, it doesn't. I don't play it thinking this looks really shitty and old. It still works for me.
See, I kind of feel it would be a good thing now because they've had. I know the Halo 2 anniversary was more the Master Chief Collection as a whole, but we've had Halo 1 anniversary and we have had a Halo 2 anniversary just with slightly different labeling. So it kind of makes sense, and it is 10 years this year since Halo 3. So
I think they will do it. Just
it would make sense
anytime soon.
See, because of the Master Chief Collection, I'm not sure if they will do it. And also, you've got to remember the Master Chief Collection wasn't a success because of its issues. The game, everyone loved it, but because of how broken it was when it came out, it turned a lot of people away quite fast. I mean, I gave up on it for a while.
Because I couldn't get into a game. I thought, what's the point?
Do you remember when we tried to play the Halo 2 campaign? Do you remember? And it was just lagging out constantly. Yeah. We couldn't get a strong
You're like,
connection.
where are you going? I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. You're not running across the map.
You were just like bouncing around everywhere, and I was like, oh, well, and it was just unplayable. And I know they fixed it now, but I remember a point where I read an article, I think it was on IGN, and the guys at 343 were basically saying they don't know why it's broken. They couldn't work out what the problem was.
Started again, didn't they?
They couldn't work it out. And obviously by then it's too little too late in this day and age where everyone where we get everything so fast now and we expect everything on an instant, like again with TV series, like with things like Netflix, which show us that we can have an entire series in one go. We can binge watch it. If something's once something's out, if we don't get the whole thing in one go, we don't care anymore. We don't have the patience for it. And I think that was a big issue.
You should do. That's what we expect. We're paying the money for it. So you should get that. So when you don't get it, it pisses you off. So you're like,
oh no, I do agree. I don't think you should release a game. Even now with the alphas, I think alpha has the potential to do good, but at the same time could be very negative too. It's a risky line to walk. Yeah,
because we don't expect it, but when it happens, you're like, okay, it's an alpha, not a full game release.
But whereas the Master Chief Collection, and obviously, but as well because it's not a brand new game, these are games they've worked on before, and they're changing engine obviously to the Xbox One from the original Xbox and 360, but it obviously. It was still an old game, so obviously we've played it as well as an audience and as fans. We have played the Halo series when they've been in working order, and we haven't had issues. Like I remember when I was a young teenager playing Halo 2 online and never really having any issues. So you obviously had the occasional issue where you didn't connect to Xbox Live or your connection was a bit dodgy, but you never ever had a proper issue with the game itself. Like I don't remember having any of the bugs and the irritating problems. I mean, there probably were. It was a long time ago, but there weren't that many. There weren't enough to make you really realise it and to make you stop playing. Whereas the Master Chief Collection was so broken that even now, to be fair, if you play the Master Chief Collection, it still takes quite a while to get into a game. And that could just be where a lot of people, where people have turned away. But Halo 3, I would love, because I did enjoy the Halo 3 campaign.
Well, Halo 3 is I played the original Halo on my friend's Xbox, so I never owned it. That's my first sort of multiplayer split screen shooter, but the first game I ever owned with my 360 was Halo 3. So good memories.
It's a good game. Yeah, for me, I got my very first. I bought my the original Xbox second hand off my next door neighbor with Halo, but I'd already played Halo to death with him because we'd always play split screen campaign or. We would play against each other, but I swear you always used to cheat and just look at my screen and kill me. And
can't help it.
No, I'm not bitter or anything, but he definitely cheated. That's why I lost. And so I got Halo then. I've just been in love with Halo ever since. I can't remember how old I was because we got it when it came out, 2001. I was young, so Halo has been with me. So for me, Halo is kind of my special game. I mean, I was already into gaming before Halo, but I have so many great memories of Halo, and it's the one that really got me into the multiplayer side of gaming. So it's always kind of been there along the way. And so I would love to see a Halo 3 remastered, actually, more I think of it, Halo 3 anniversary. Because Halo 3, I know the campaign, some people were a bit funny about it. I personally thought it was a good campaign. And that had a nice ending, like with the chief being trapped away. I like the ending. I enjoyed it. And it would be really nice to see that. Like you said, it still looks great, so you don't need the great graphics, but it would be nice to see it in like the fresh current graphics and see what it can do, kind of.
I'm just thinking just maybe, as I say, just not yet. For example, with like, on the PS4 now, we're getting Crash Bandicoot. That's incredible because how old it is. It's like, if you went back to play it now, you'd be like, this looks like utter crap. Whereas, that's the thing with remasters, I think, is when you get the remaster, you play the game and you have the memories of the game you used to play with the new graphics. So it's like a thing of...
where you get the nostalgia hit.
Yeah, it's when you think about how it was and how you remember it looking really good. So when you get it looking really good, it's the same. So you're still happy to play it, I guess.
I don't know. One thing, actually, I think they do need to do now is if they do bring out Halo 3 anniversary, they do need to focus, I think, on upping the engine a bit. Because the reason I say that is if you go back to it now in the Master Chief Collection, if you go from a Halo 4 match or a Halo 2 anniversary match and go back to Halo 3, 2, or 1, you are so sluggish in comparison. Like turning and everything, it's nowhere near as smooth or fluid. And it needs to be, I think, especially because now that's what we're used to. Again, like Halo, if you play Halo 5 or Halo 4 online, they're very fast-paced, nice flowing games. Like, you can't criticize that. They've run very well. And when you go back to Halo 3, it's not that it didn't run well, it's just that it is a bit slower compared to these
when
ones.
You're jogging around everywhere like...
Yeah, they need a sprint. They would definitely need a sprint function.
They wouldn't do that, though, would they? Because, for example, with like Halo 2, they left it how it was. They literally said, it's the same as it was out the box, just with better graphics.
See,
they didn't change any of the mechanics.
No, it's the same with Halo 1. And Halo 1, I actually find, if I play... I was doing a campaign run through with a friend a couple of weeks back of Halo 1 on Legendary, and you are still, even though you've got the nicer graphics, you're still very sluggish, and it can be quite irritating, especially when you're used to, like, Reach, which is a fantastic game in itself, Halo Reach.
My favourite one, actually.
I think Halo Reach is my favourite Halo. It was also proof that the Master Chief isn't necessary for the game, for the world of Halo to still exist on its own as a game.
Yeah.
Like, it was a very incredible game. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, it was very sluggish. And it's kind of, when you're younger and you first play it, you don't notice the kind of slowness of it. But now you've had the faster paced Halos. Yeah. You want the others to be like that. So it's a bit infuriating. To be honest, I never found Halo 2 bad. I always found Halo 2 moved quite fast paced and was quite nice and
I never really played
flowed.
Apart from, let's say, because my first introduction to that really was the Master Chief Collection. So I was used to Halo 3. So to me, Halo 2 was like, it's even worse. But Halo 3 to me was good because, I didn't, as you said, I didn't have a comparison, so it was fine. I was like, this moves fine. What's wrong with it? And Halo 4, I was like, it's just amazing.
Do you think Halo 4 was good?
I think one of my favourites when it comes to multiplayer.
Yeah. Halo 4 for me was a fantastic game. It was just, do you remember, we got the midnight opening and 4 of us completed it on Legendary in under 4 hours. The very first playthrough. So it was just a bit short because if we tried to I know Halo 2 is only 2-player co-op, but if you try to complete Halo 2 on Legendary, oh my god, those snipers just put you down and it takes forever. It really does, but it's still really good fun. It's just a shame that Halo 4 didn't just have a bit more to it. It was a bit longer or something. It didn't feel like it had as many levels as the other games. It didn't feel like the levels were as long. And it's a shame because it was really enjoyable. It just, I think it just needed a bit more to its story and it would have been up there as one of the best Halos.
And then there's Halo 5, which was the lie. You had all that build-up from the trailers being like, is he good? Is he bad? Is he doing this? What's happening? And then it's like, oh no, he's just,
Yeah, that was just a massive tease.
And they've had a misunderstanding.
A bit of a troll.
Have a bit of a fisticuffs, and then they, disagreed.
The thing I thought was a shame with Halo 5 was that you had 4 characters who you knew were playing as, and obviously for me it was fine. We're looking at Blue Team, the Chiefs team. It was fine with Fred, Linda, and Kelly, his other Spartans, because I've read the Eric Nyland book trilogy, which I'd really recommend. Fantastic book series. I knew those characters really well.
Yeah.
So when they're on screen, even though they haven't got much of an introduction, they don't get much screen time, I know exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, kind of thing. I get their motives, I get their logic.
Well, you understood why they were there, because I was like, where do these people come from?
because I'd read the books. But in Halo 5, for Locke's team, obviously we all know Buck from ODS team. Everyone loves him as well, because Nathan Fillion, you can't not love Nathan Fillion, the guy's a legend. And so we all knew those two. And Locke, we got a lot of trailers introducing, and he got a lot of screen time. But the other two I can't even remember their names. The red and the white
short
armored
film,
ones.
The series thing.
Yeah, Nightfall.
Vale and Vale's the red one. It's not Linda.
But
can't remember.
But see, this is my point. They got next to no development, and we're like, oh, so if this is a new team that's taking over for co-op, they should have had a bit more story time. They should have had a bit more development. They probably will or they might already have in expanded universe stuff in terms of books or comics and stuff. It's just a show. Actually, I know they do have comics. I'm sure I read somewhere there's comics on these characters.
After or before?
I think before, just to introduce them. There's probably some after now. I haven't actually checked that out. But it's just a shame because if you're just a standard game player, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you won't know anything about this, which that's a different topic altogether. That's another topic we should talk about on another podcast, actually, is do we feel extending universe, not just game universes, but like films, TVs and stuff through books and other things. Do we feel that's a good idea? And then introducing stuff from the books into the series if it works. But yeah, so as remasters as a whole, do you feel remasters in general are a good idea?
Yes, like I was saying, I think if you give it enough time where they actually kind of need it, and it would be a popular game, good popular game that everybody liked, and you're just giving it a nice, good graphical boost. For example, like Devil May Cry, the technically 5, but the reboot.
Well, that's not a remaster.
They did that. They did technically the remaster because they did it for the Xbox One. They added all the DLC. Oh,
sorry, I thought you were comparing it to the original Dante.
No. I'm saying the fact that they re-released it like that. Was it called a remaster or the definitive edition or whatever?
I think it was definitive.
They call them that, don't they, these days? But that sort of thing they do, it's just not necessary.
No, but it's just that games like that came out at a very awkward time when the Xbox 360 was coming to the end of its life and the Xbox One was just about to take over, starting a new generation.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they were at that very awkward stage of do they wait and release it on the Xbox One, or then would they have to do a load more work? So was it better to release it on the 360 first and then get people to rebuy it on the Xbox One? So that game to me came out at a very awkward time. And I get what you're saying; it wasn't needed. But it's also it must have been a very difficult time for the developers to go, oh, what do we do? Do we risk staying on the 360 or do we risk skipping the 360 altogether and just going for the Xbox One? Because if the Xbox One's a complete blunder, if it didn't sell well, because you got to remember, it wasn't getting good press, the Xbox One, before it came out.
No, well, before it came out, they
kind of shot themselves, their marketing campaign shot themselves in the foot.
They messed it up. I remember them announcing it, I was just like, oh, what are you doing?
I just remember any of my friends when they announced when I was at uni, and my friends who were PlayStation, yeah, they were like, "So, how'd you feel about your Xbox now?" And I was like, "I don't want to talk about it."
So just quickly, I looked it up. Tanaka was the other one.
Tanaka, okay. See, so, but there you go. How the fact you actually had to go and look it up on Wikipedia
did not remember
to check it. We never would have known if that was the case.
I didn't knew Vale because I played as Vale.
I always played as Buck, so that was so I rolled. 'Cause Buck's awesome. But yeah, so I do agree. I think remasters are a really nice idea, and I think it's a good nostalgia thing for gamers. And I think as long as gamers are happy to pay for them, I don't see the problem with it. Like I don't see it as a cheap cash in by any means, because if you do genuinely love a game, why wouldn't you want to see it come back with better graphics and better performance and smoother controls because you got to remember when the original controllers came out, it's like going back to GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. Trying to play an FPS with one analog stick was ridiculously difficult. I can't do it now when I've got it in the living room, and I am so awful at that game now. But I used to be quite good when I was younger, and yeah, I don't see why you would complain. And if you do pay again, that's your choice. This is going to sound a bit hypocritical because obviously I've done a game series on it for our channel, and I love the game. It's a Skyrim remaster.
I don't see the difference. I haven't played it, so I can't.
There's definitely a graphical difference. The thing is that it's still quite soon. Skyrim's only 6 years old this year. Later on this year, it's not that old.
Well, it's no, maybe an Oblivion one because Oblivion looked kind of
exactly. Yeah, why do we skip Oblivion to go into Skyrim? And don't get me wrong, I'm still getting hours of fun out of playing it again. I really love it. I'll probably play it again later, actually. But was it necessary to do it so soon? Maybe in a few years' time. I guess they were maybe thinking they want to keep people fresh because maybe they're not this year at E3 going to be announcing a new Elder Scrolls. So maybe they're going to be like, until we announce a new one, let's keep everyone on the hype train a bit still. But I don't understand why they couldn't have done something like
just on the
how Fallout New Vegas was for Fallout between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic. It was a bit smaller, but it was still really good.
Game, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's still a full game.
A mini thing, yeah.
And they could have done like an Elder Scrolls in like Cyrodiil or like gone to
I guess they got Elder Scrolls Online.
yeah.
Fallout Online.
No, true. Elder Scrolls. To be fair, actually, credit where credit's due for Elder Scrolls Online. That was very fun. I think it did die out a bit quickly. I mean, there's still people who play it, but I think it's the MMO curse, really, isn't it? There's only obviously because World of Warcraft's like the big one, and even World of Warcraft struggled for a while at one point.
Well, that's because I didn't play the old expansions, but apparently they would just dump. They really weren't good because of the way. That's the key with MMOs. You have to keep releasing new stuff. If you don't, everyone just goes bored now and they fall out. Because the new expansion, they keep releasing these like mini patches which have more and more content all the time. So yeah, Elder Scrolls Online, they've just announced Morrowind. So they're going to try, that'll bring a load more people back to it. I might even go back for that.
I was actually talking to my flatmate yesterday and saying maybe we should go back on now and get ready for it. Obviously it's in June, just to make sure, because I never got my character to max level anyway. And there's already other DLCs I've missed. And I'm sure it's the same with you.
I missed it. Was it Brotherhood?
But I did really enjoy I did really enjoy the PvP mode for it. The idea of like running around taking castles and like in this big map running around
and then losing all of them the night. Well,
yeah,
you go off for the night, come back on, it's like, oh, it's now a yellow map when it was red.
But yeah, sorry, going back to the remaster, we kind of deterred a bit, but yeah, I think that the whole idea of a remaster is a good idea as long as it's not unnecessary. I think you've got to pick your time. I think that's a very important thing as well, is picking the right moment. Like the Crash Bandicoot remaster.
Oh my god!
I think they know that's been in high demand by fans for a while, and I think now we're kind of. I kind of feel like we're getting to like the Xbox One's kind of hit middle age. It's hit its midlife crisis. Kind of same with the PlayStation 4 because it's only a matter of time. In a year or two's time, I guarantee there'll be the announcing of a new console.
Well, no, you got the Project Scorpio.
Yeah, but that's just like the Xbox 360 Elite. Well, it's not just but you know what I mean. But
the Elite didn't have more power, really.
It did.
Well, not like serious.
Yeah.
Where this is meant to be like a full-on. This is a big old upgrade.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's not a new console. Still, it's still the Xbox One. You know what I mean. It will be the next generation in a couple of years' time.
1.5, I guess.
Yeah, there will be some new generation consoles. So I say we're kind of hitting the midlife crisis of the Xbox One.
Yeah.
And so I think Reboots, this is a great time to release it because you're kind of in the middle. We know we've got a couple of years towards a new console coming out. You've had a chance for these consoles to be tested with the fans. They know which consoles are popular with the fans and which aren't. Like the Wii U didn't really do well, but the PS4 and the Xbox, I mean, they're always going to be stronger in terms of multiplayer. And
they have multiplayer in terms of serious competitive multiplayer. And also, Wii U, you can't do competitive Wii tennis.
I do feel though that also it comes. Speaking of timing for remasters, anniversaries are a key point as well. It's the 20th anniversary this year for Final Fantasy VII, for example.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the remaster for the PlayStation.
That,
yeah, and it's good timing because they're talking about it now. They're releasing trailers now and footage, and people are like, "Oh, I'm so psyched now!" And like, I've seen it all over my Facebook feed the last couple of days. People going, "This game came out 20 years ago today. This is amazing." Blah blah blah. And you know that all these people are probably going to go out and buy the remake, the remaster. So it is a good idea. And they're not going to complain because, let's face it, if you look at the Final Fantasy graphics, they haven't aged well for Final Fantasy VII. Fantastic game, but obviously because it's 20 years old, it hasn't aged very well. So if you're going to bring it to modern day graphics, and also people have seen like Final Fantasy 15, look how well it's doing. You're getting a nostalgia hit with a new game in the same series that's doing incredibly well at the same time. So you're riding off the popular train as well as the nostalgia train. Yeah. That's two different market segments going into one. It's a very clever idea to bring it out now. And so it will work for a lot of companies. Again, like I'm saying about Skyrim, I feel a bit hypocritical because I love it. But I would also argue it wasn't necessary. Like, if they brought out Oblivion, I would have bought an Oblivion remaster. I would have bought that. And I would have felt that, because Oblivion's now 12 years old. I think it came out in 2005. I'm pretty sure. Someone might want to quote me on that, but I think it is 2005. And so that would have been a better one. And I remember you saying you love Skyrim, for example, but you weren't a fan of the engine for Oblivion.
It was the way it played. It was just like it felt really. It felt like you were just a floating camera, and it was horrible for me to play. I did not like it. And Skyrim, you had weight to you, like you're an actual human being. So it's only a small thing, but it's enough to completely put me off a game. I can't do it.
And see, they could have fixed that with the remaster of Oblivion, but because it was really weird actually comparing those two. Oblivion had, I'd say it actually had more features than Skyrim, but Skyrim feels like it's got more to it. Like your armor and weapons, for example, they could break very easily, and you had to repair. When you went to a smithy, you had to repair them. There was also, I'm pretty sure you didn't just have like in this game you had boots, armor, head, and wrists. I think you had boots, legs, chest in Oblivion as well. I'll have to double check that. But there was an arena, like a gladiator arena.
No shoulders?
Well, they were part of the arm piece. But again, it had more items, but again, Skyrim feels like a fuller game. Like there's more to it. Which is why, again, and as long as it became backwards compatible on the Xbox One, I think that would have been fine. Obviously, they wouldn't have made the sales they did with the remaster. But for the fans, I don't think the fans would have installed it and gone, oh, I wish I had the remaster instead. Yeah. I think they would have been just as happy getting their old game back. Kind of. It wasn't hugely necessary. Whereas Crash Bandicoot, you can't really track the PlayStation 1. Well, you can't bring it to modern day. So it's good they're remastering it and they're bringing it back for a wider audience. It makes sense.
Well, now when we play Mario Kart, it's just like, it's really fun, but we look at it, it's just like, it's so dumpy the way it looks. It's
but see, the thing with Mario Kart is they'll never reboot that because they'll just keep bringing out sequels.
Reboot it, they don't need to. Yeah, they keep just, sequeling it.
Actually, speaking of all these remasters and reboots, then how do you feel about reboots that change the game? So, for example, Devil May Cry is a big one. Like, it actually got a lot of bad backlash from the fans.
Oh, reboots, everything remasters.
Because obviously, if you compare the original Devil May Cry, they both have characters called Dante. They both look very different, though. And
well, they're the same character, aren't they?
They act different, but I would say that the original Dante, he's a lot cockier and a lot more dramatic about how cocky he is. He's got a bit more flair to him, like whereas the other one's more of a humanized version of Dante, but he's more down to earth, humanized version of the Dante from the original trilogy. And I think it's one of these very double standard things. So I think it depends on how close you are to a series, how much you mind.
That's why, because I love the new Dante because I don't know much about the old Dante.
So and
I played the new one and I was like, he's awesome. I really like him. So when everyone's like, he's horrible, like he's a shitty character, I hate him. I'm like, but why? He's so awesome.
And see, I really liked the original series, but I wasn't like hugely into them, like, oh my god, I had to play this game. I remember playing them and really enjoying them and completing them, but they weren't like, it wasn't to me like how I was saying Halo was. So the fact they rebooted it with New Dante, I was willing to give it a go, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, you know what, I do like this character, but I don't mind seeing something new. Whereas if they were to redo Halo, like Master Chief's not got much personality, but just bring a different Spartan instead, I might be a bit like, oh, wait a minute, where's this going?
Well, different Spartan, that's fine, because like Halo Reach, that's kind of what they did, isn't it?
But it's not a reboot.
Though. Oh, you're saying if they specifically rebooted it, so Master Chief didn't exist?
Yeah.
Right.
And they kind of changed his character. I might be a bit then like, but why? And I guess that's what a lot of the fans felt with Devil May Cry is, but why? Because everyone loved the old Dante. He was very, like I said, he was cocky, he was overconfident, and he was really like over the top and eccentric. Like I just remember in Devil May Cry 4, there's a bit where there's a boss battle with a scientist, and they go very Shakespearean acting like theatre during this cutscene, and they're quoting stuff, and Dante's talking like, oh, is this not the way we do it? And like posing kind of thing. And I can't remember what his line is. Or it's like, is sanity the price to pay? And then he pauses and goes, for power? Like really dramatically. And it's completely taking the mick though. It's not done seriously. And it was just, like I said, very eccentric and very like, not like the new Dante. I wouldn't see him doing that.
The new Dante is very snarky, his little comments he sort of makes. He makes little digs at people. Like swearing as well a lot, which is, I'm okay with that. I find him as you say, he is much more humanized. I guess, what do you call them? If it's a game made by the Japanese, but it's an English game, I guess, isn't it? It's like they just have that flair to them, like Final Fantasy characters. They're all sort of a bit.
Well, the Japanese
very different.
Like, Japanese animation groups and companies, not groups, sorry. They obviously have their own styles put on it. It's like every country has their own uniqueness. They kind of add to something. It's like comedy series, isn't it? If you watch an English comedy, we're very much known for sarcasm and dry humor. Like for us, it's like quite dark, sarcastic humor. Whereas Americans are stereotypically known for like quite slapstick humor, where it's like kind of funny watching people fall over type thing. Yeah. And I guess it's just the same thing for animation, isn't it? We have a much darker, grittier look on things. That's just what we do, kind of. Whereas Japan, like to make their stuff over the top, eccentric, really fun action kind of thing. That's what we love anime for. Like when you watch your animes, they do like even your characters when they're fighting, they'll do jumps when they'll jump like as high as a building, and it's normal. Like no one bats an eyelid. They're like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Someone does it in like a British way, but you can't do that.
So
it's I think the new one was Ninja Theory, isn't it? Which,
yes,
British.
They're British. Yeah, that's
British.
why he has a Union Jack
Union
on
Jack,
his new jacket.
So they're like, he is British, in case you didn't realise. He's not even British. He's American.
No, I know. Yeah, it was. That was more in honor of the company, I think.
Yeah,
than anything. But it's interesting actually because I think some game companies actually instead of rebooting like Resident Evil, they did it quite well where they still kept the original characters around, but each game effectively followed it. Like Resident Evil 1, you're Chris or Jill. Resident Evil 2, you're Claire or Leon. Resident Evil 3, you're back to being Jill, but in a very different environment. So it's like different stories within this world. And I feel that works because it's not as if you're changing characters for the worse. Kind of, it's not like, oh, we're going to reboot Resident Evil 1 and have them play through as different characters. It's almost like, okay, so they're still in Raccoon City, but now we're going to tell it from this character's perspective instead.
It's like, it's not quite a spin-off, is it? It's like a...
Well, it's almost like in a film how you have multiple characters and you just switch between... Or in like a book, like Game of Thrones books, you know how each chapter is a different character. It's just like that. And that works really well because then you're not giving the fans the whole reboot feel. And you can change things up a bit. And if it doesn't work, you can be like, okay, well, we know that Chris and Jill works. Let's go back to them. Fortunately, like Claire Redfield and Leon are very popular characters, so it did keep working.
Yeah.
But obviously, with Devil May Cry, it wasn't that. They went back and instead of remastering
they gave you a new Dante.
We're gonna reboot it with a very different Dante. And I think that's when fans are a bit like, well, hold up, why do we need a new Dante? We want a reboot, yes, but not Dante, kind of like not a new Dante.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be careful with remasters and reboots that you don't kind of tread on the fans' toes by doing that.
That's the difference between them, isn't it? Because the remaster is there. It's a fan tribute. That's all they are, really. Yeah. Well, that and possible moneymakers, but yeah, that's generally why they do it, because they know that people want that. They know that the game is popular, people will buy it, and people generally be happy about it.
I think so, yeah. Do we know of any remasters? Can you think of any that have flopped?
How did Modern Warfare do? Because they were bundling that. That's the problem.
That was an issue. I don't think well, and I know actually the only people I know who actually spent money on because what was it? Rick's friend gave it to him because he didn't like it. He didn't want it. That's not a good sign if someone's giving you a game they've got because it came with their Xbox and they don't like it. One of my friends who I know did buy Infinite Warfare. Not many people. See, I know loads of people who own all the other Call of Duties. This one, not so much. And one person
newest?
I know, Infinite Warfare. Yeah.
I think it meant Modern Warfare 1. I was like, but people love that game.
The only reason that my friend bought Infinite Warfare, he went big and bought it.
For it.
Yeah. And I said to him, I was like, if they sold it separately as a remaster, I probably would have bought it. And I have no interest in Infinite Warfare whatsoever. It doesn't appeal to me. I kind of lost my interest in Call of Duty a while ago.
Jon Snow.
See, that is cool that they managed to get Kit Harington in it. That is cool. But the game itself doesn't do much for me anymore. Call of Duty kind of...
it's Titanfall with Halo.
Yeah.
Combined.
It's Titanfall, but less like it. It's like a not as good version of Titanfall. And it's a shame. But yeah, I do feel that was a bit cheeky to go, oh, if you want the remaster, you have to do this. It's like... They probably would have done better on sales if they had sold them separately. Or done a deal where you could buy it separately, but then do a bundle deal for the two.
I mean, not necessarily, because the number of people that will go, fine, and then they'll buy it, even if they're not interested in Infinite Warfare. Their sales have probably done really well because of that. It's bad, I'm not saying it's good, I'm just saying...
Its sales didn't do well. This Call of Duty... Pokemon Sun and Moon beat Call of Duty.
Oh, it did, didn't it? Yeah.
It hasn't done well, this Call of Duty at all.
That's what I'm waiting for. Where's the bloody Red, Blue and Yellow remastered? I'd say remade. Remastered.
Well, they did it on the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, but, that's the thing.
Remaster that then. Remaster Fire Red.
I think that's going to be interesting, actually.
3D graphics.
Because
that'd be really cool.
You've got now, people are going to expect the next remaster in Pokemon to be Diamond and Pearl. Even though that was a DS game. That was the very first one on DS. People are going to expect that remaster coming. So you do we risk going back again? Or it's a bit jumbled now. I feel like they kind of have to finish off these remasters before we can get a new remaster. So we need the Diamond and Pearl and the Black and White remaster before we go into remastering Red and Blue from the beginning.
I think because Pokemon's a very interesting brand when it comes to gaming. Because, as you say, they do have that that schedule of, the remasters, the new ones, the remasters. And all
Well, that's
that.
only
It's
a
kind
new
of,
thing. That's quite a new thing. That wasn't because
well, no, because Sapphire Red and Leaf Greens and all that
well, no, it used to be
started a long time ago.
yeah, but it used to be so you'd get red and blue, then yellow came out later, and then it was the same with that. It was silver and gold, and then crystal, and then it was sapphire and ruby, and then emerald, and then it was diamond and pearl and platinum, and then at black and white it kind of stopped, and then it became.
He didn't come up with grey.
It became like the whole remasters were really becoming a bigger thing. Then they kind of ditched the third game in that generation and just brought remasters out instead.
Well, also black and white didn't do so well, did it?
No.
To
be fair, I
ones.
didn't enjoy black and white as well. Out of all the Pokemon games, it's my least favorite.
I only did because that's when I came back to Pokemon. I was like, yeah, Pokemon.
I would say this
Pokemon.
though. I think there's a risk of remastering with Pokemon though. Do you remember how you felt with? I remember playing Ruby and enjoying it, but also being slightly gutted. I just come from X and Y where I could customize my character.
They went
Things were better
backwards with that because they
but
added
it's a
new
remaster,
stuff.
so-
I think they added new stuff to it, but then they didn't add all the new stuff. That's what was weird. So that was a dumb move. They should have just combined them and said, right, here's the game you used to love, with the new graphics because they got the new graphics. So it's like it is a new game completely.
And they added new Mega Evolutions.
Yeah, it's all there.
So
just apart from the stuff that was really popular, which seems kind of stupid.
Because I remember a lot of people were gutted. A lot of our friends actually, they were like, "Oh, cool," and then they were like, "Why can't I customize my character?"
I only wanted to fight in X and Y because I didn't want to. I wanted to use my character.
Yeah,
but then you can't use the other megas.
Yeah,
So like,
and when you're competing, obviously, if people want to use Mega Beedrill, I think in a couple of others, they have to be on Ruby and Sapphire. So it was a bit of a setback to not being able to do that. But
it was good for a Tudor Island. Was it a Battle Island?
Battle Mason.
Something like that. But yeah, the island we had all the tutors lined up. So on the beach, which is really, really useful.
Yeah, that was good to get all the moves and everything. That was very handy. But yeah, like you said, it's just confusing because obviously with games like Crash Bandicoot, they remaster that. I don't think you expect there to be options like because there was never an option to customize
Crash.
So you didn't really think about that.
Haircuts.
Like waiting for it to come. Whereas obviously when you're promised that, it was like we were talking about with Halo. When you've played the new ones, you've got something to compare it to.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets a bit iffy with the remasters, where you need to be careful when you've got something new, brand new to compare it to. You might be like, "Oh, hang on a minute, why can't I do?" And do you remember, for example, when it wasn't a remaster, but they re-released on the DS Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow for really cheap, but people were annoyed. And I remember, to be fair, actually, we were a bit like, "Oh, that sucks," when we couldn't battle online against each other.
Yeah, that was really weird.
And we thought that was going to be
that should have been like a base, because that's not like. Obviously, they wanted to release it, be like, it's exactly the same as you remember. But why would you not do that?
But the thing is, when there's new technology, which we're used to, like literally, if I want a Pokemon battle you, I can just text you, go, "Ben, fancy a match?" And if you say yes, I just turn my DS on, connect it to the line, battle, boom, gone. You can't do that now. It's so you have to be careful, I think, with remasters. Luckily, with Crash Bandicoot, the games later on that came out on newer generation consoles were nowhere near as popular. So I don't think a lot of the fans are going to be wanting and expecting that. They're just going to be purely wanting the ones they know and loved. So they're not looking for anything different. Whereas with Pokemon, people are looking for something different a bit now. Like I know I was fully expecting character customization to be a thing in Ruby and Sapphire. And the fact it wasn't, it was a bit of a set. I still completed the game and still enjoyed the game. I just felt like I was missing something that I knew I had if I went back a generation, which was quite. Well, and luckily they brought it back in Sun and Moon now.
Missing out an entire new feature. It's like saying, "Hey, we're going to go back to the old, top-down graphic form because reasons."
Yeah, because that's how it was before. Yeah.
Why?
So I think overall remasters are definitely a good thing. I think reboots is a different topic altogether.
That's a completely different thing. Yeah.
If you're because.
Could you reboot that's what I don't understand. If you're struggling, I guess, and you're thinking it's going nowhere, you go
reboots if you want if you know you've got a good idea but you need a fresh start. Like you messed up somewhere along the line, so you're like, right, hash that. Let's just go start again. We know we got a good character. We know we got a good story. We just need to do it differently.
Yeah.
And that's when you really reboot. That's why I think people are confused about Devil May Cry because they got to 4 games that were very popular. They had a strong following, so it was a bit weird when suddenly they're like New Dante and everyone's like. Where's Devil May Cry 5? Kind of like...
I assumed he was just the same Dante with a different haircut. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's him? He just looks cooler. At least I think that.
Well, different colour hair as well, and it's not like seriously. I'll lend you the Devil May Cry games. Sometimes you should play the originals because they are very good games. But you'll see how different they are. They are quite different characters. They've got similar concepts, but very different.
Yeah.
Still, and that makes a big difference to the fans. So like, it's like if they brought back Crash Bandicoot in this remaster, and then suddenly he could talk and he had like a Cockney accent or something. It's like, hello, governor.
Have you not seen it? He's in. I think he's in Skylanders or something, and he talks. He has a voice. If it is Skylanders, I think it is. But whatever it was, or it might be an animation. But he has a voice. They're giving him one.
What for the remaster as well? Or? See,
I don't think it's in the game. I don't think it's in the game.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think that would be a good thing. I like the idea.
Yeah,
of
his voice is wow.
Yeah, like the stupid noises and the mask being like.
But I mean, he talked. I was like, I was okay with it because he didn't sound bad. But I was like, but he doesn't talk. It's like R2-D2 going, "Sup."
Yeah, but see,
talk now, bitches.
This is why I feel like going back to Halo. I never feel like they've tried to reboot Halo in any stage. Even when they brought out Halo Reach, which was a prequel.
What's a spin-off?
Yeah, exactly. It never. No, they admitted it was a prequel. It's not a reboot of the series, even though it's going back to technically just before the beginning of Halo 1.
Well, they're not writing off saying Master Chief does not exist. Start
exactly.
Again.
Yeah.
They're just saying a long time ago in a Halo galaxy far, far away.
They're literally saying Master Chief was on this planet. There were some differences again, which people who hadn't read the books wouldn't have known. So, at the end of Halo Reach, the Pillar of Autumn is on the planet as it's blowing up, and you see the Master Chief. That's not actually how it happens in the book, which came out years and years before. The Pillar of Autumn's been up in the space battle the whole time, and the Chief never touches down on Reach. He's on there just before the invasion, because he just gets Cortana then. So when Halo 1 starts, realistically, he's only had Cortana for a few days.
According to the books or the film?
Books.
But
the books,
games.
but the books are canon, so...
Yeah,
they just kind of contradict each other. Yeah,
me, because they're both canon. I haven't said one is one and one isn't.
I also get very confused with the Spartan 3s. Because in the books they don't come in until the Ghosts of Onyx book, which is set during Halo 2 time. However, obviously I think they were around in Halo 1, but you never, as far as you're aware, reading the books, there are only Spartan 2s on the ground. On Reach and Marines and ODSTs, there are no Spartan 3s. So when they were like, "Oh, you're playing as a Spartan 3 team," I was like,
Reach, yeah.
Oh, okay, but it worked. I mean, it was really enjoyable, and it felt like it fit in there. It didn't feel like it was out of place or anything.
So you can sprint. You got an upgrade.
Yeah, I still think Reach has the best story out of all the Halo games. The best customization on the armors, the best game modes. It is the best Halo game. It just is. It's awesome.
I agree with that because I'm not a massive fan of the Chief anyway. Like his story, I don't mind it, but I'm not like, yay, Master Chief. So when they brought in these new characters, I really liked. Like Carter was awesome, and I thought it was just much more enjoyable.
Endurable or enjoyable?
Enjoyable. I say both. Endurable. That's the normal Halos. Endure them.
I love them
because I must for the multiplayer.
But then there's also with remasters. Do you think they should bring them back exactly the same without? Like, as in, with better graphics. But
not exactly the same. Yeah. No upgrades.
But no, they bring them back with graphical upgrades. They look much nicer, but then they leave everything else alone. Do you think they should do that? Or do you think, especially if there's games which are a franchise and they've got sequels, do you feel they need to adapt the remaster to give it what the newer games have as well? Because like we were saying, you notice not having sprint now. If you play an old Halo, you're kind of like, oh, I wish I could sprint.
I think if it's a remaster of an older game in a series, like we're saying... the Elder Scrolls Halo, then they should. Personally, I would like them to add in the extra features which are in the modern ones, because as you say, it's what you're used to, it's what you know. So when it's gone, it's just like, oh, okay, how do you do this again, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of going back to basics. Yeah,
because you've got the graphical upgrade, but it still feels old. That's the problem.
I remember as well going back to the Halo remaster of Combat Evolved. I was playing it with one of my friends, and there was an enemy running at him up this ramp, and I remember standing behind him with a shotgun. I mean, like, I've got it, and I remember distinctly the shotgun barrel was pointed above his shoulder and to the right of his head, and I pulled the trigger and hit him. And I was like, what? And it killed him outright, even though there's no way, there wasn't time for the buck spread to get wide like that. It should have gone straight over his shoulder, but because the hitbox because it's an old game, and the old game engine, it's a big hitbox around the character, I killed him, and I was like, oh. Whereas that wouldn't have happened in Halo 4 or Reach or something. So
more realistic.
I think things like that should be
changed.
Game. I think things like that should be changed. I think it's important, even if because it feels like a small change, but it's an important one. It's one you notice.
Well, yeah.
So
hitboxes are very important.
if they did, also then okay, if they were to bring back, so when they brought back Halo 2 Anniversary, if you couldn't really customize your armor in Halo 2, you could customize colors and the symbols, your sigil.
So yeah, in Master Chief Collection, you choose
the suit. You don't get to customize how you did. Do you think that because that again that feels kind of rushed and a bit lazy almost to me? I mean, I'm sure they had their reasons. Yeah. Do you feel that because we're used to that now? Like I said, playing Reach, playing Halo 4 and stuff, you can customize your character quite well.
Yeah, apart from the reason them saying we're releasing it exactly as it released in 2000 whatever. That's what he said, wasn't it? It's coming the same as it did out of the box, apart from better graphics.
But you couldn't, like I said, you couldn't in Halo 2.
Yeah, whenever they said that, I always went, that just seems... It seems like, yeah, you're trying to please the fans, but also sounds to me like just being lazy. Like, hey, we remastered it and we're not going to touch anything else. It's like...
See, I agree. It does feel bad, but obviously, not working in game development, we have no idea how difficult that could be to bring an old game back to a new engine, which it's not designed for. It's outdated by. To be fair to all game developers, because I have a lot of respect for people in that job. From watching all these, you know that they put the hours in. Those guys, they have long days, long tough days. It's not an easy job. So when people give game developers crap for something not being ready, I do feel for them. And also, you can't...
They get pushed, though, by publishers and stuff. Yeah. That's why it's like, just leave them alone.
Well, that's why with Battlefront, it was so irritating. It's like, that game could have been so... I mean, it is a good game. It's not like it's a bad game. That game could have been better. And also, the Walking Dead game, the Daryl Dixon one, what was it called? Road to Survival? No, it's not Road to Survival.
Did it even have a name?
Survival Instinct, I think, or something like that.
Yes, I think it was something like that. I'll Google it while I
remember I was playing that, and I could... It was a game, and it was so weird. Sitting there, I could feel the potential. I was like... I feel like I know what the game developers were going for here, and they just didn't get time because they wanted it to be out while The Walking Dead was still big, so they weren't sure how long it was going to last for. And you, as you're playing it, you can feel the potential, and you're like, I know where you wanted to go with this, but I know also the game was forced to come out early, and you can really tell both ways. You're like, and you always kind of feel sorry for these game developers because you know
it's their baby, and they've it's been ruined.
It's like
it's been dropped.
It's like what Charlie Cox said about when they were in because it was Daredevil. Yeah. They were interviewing him about the Daredevil movie, and
the Affleck one.
Yeah, and they were going on about how bad it was, and he was like, "You've got to realize this though. No one goes out there with the intent to make a bad film. They didn't start making Daredevil and go, oh, we're going to make a rubbish film.
How bad can we?
So when it does go
Still
wrong,
haven't seen it, so still can't judge. But yeah,
I actually think it's a good film. Director's Cut's really good. It is a good film. I wouldn't knock it at all. And I know a lot of people, like a lot of my friends, have a bit of a gripe with the ending, and I can understand why. Spoiler warning, actually. I haven't
seen it. So
do you want spoilers or?
It's long enough. I don't.
Well, it's not, basically he does a typical superhero thing where he's actually quite dark at the beginning and kills criminals. Then at the end, he gets to the Kingpin who killed his father, and he doesn't kill. He decides not to kill him instead. Sends him to prison. He even says, kind of contradicting everything. He's like, I know you're going to get back out on the streets, but I'll be waiting. And it's kind of so it doesn't solve it doesn't solve anything. Is what I think they were getting at. It's kind of like a vicious circle he's just got himself trapped in. But obviously, it's meant to show the moral of you shouldn't it doesn't matter how bad things get, you should never resort to killing someone.
I don't kill.
And
New Batman does. He's better.
But it's and it's the same with games though. Game developers wouldn't sit at that desk slugging away for hours and hours and just slaving away at their computer to make a bad
barrel look
to make a bad game. And there were a lot more variables in game development to film. I remember one of my friends at uni for one of his uni projects was making a level, and he had to go through everything. Whereas with a shot, when you filmed a shot, and
it doesn't.
That's kind of it. I mean, obviously you need to grade it, and if you're adding in special effects, yes, but that's it done. Kind of, if you're happy with that shot, you don't need to reshoot it. Whereas with a game, you might think you made a whole level, but you have to literally do so many different tests to make sure it works.
That's programming. Whereas film, there's no programming. It's just, does it look right or not?
Exactly. Yeah. So when there are things that are wrong with a game, yes, it is infuriating. I'd lie. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't complained about it before. I mean, like, why do I play this game? But I think people do need to realize that when especially with these remasters, you're bringing an old game from an old engine to a new engine. It's going to struggle. It doesn't know, because the game's going to be confused. It's like, oh my god, this is different, and then obviously the engine's going to be like, this is outdated. What am I working with?
So yeah, do they do it from scratch, or do they they say, right, we've got this as reference, and then they say let's rebuild it?
I think people do it different. I think different companies do it differently. I'm not actually sure. That actually, if anyone has the answers to that, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave it in the comment section, because I don't know.
So yeah, like if you manage to get into the system sort of thing, like and tear it away. Underneath is just all the shitty graphics. Like, there they are.
Well, that's where Halo Combat Evolved was quite interesting, because you could push a button and jump back to the old graphics, which was quite cool. I like that. It was a little nice like thing, like, hey, just in case you guys wanted the old school game, here you go, you still got it.
To a lot of people, it's completely pointless, but it was just nice to be able to do.
I think it's a nice little feature that doesn't do much, but goes a long way.
Yeah.
Kind of, so...
It's that extra effort, that's what's nice.
Exactly, yeah, and I think most games would appreciate that, which is good. Okay, so I think, yeah, that's good. So I think we kind of both feel that remasters are a good thing, as long as they're done at the right time, they're appropriate and necessary. I think, and
fun.
They take into account, obviously, that their sequels will have a lot of features they don't. Is it worth adapting those features into the old game when you remaster it? I think those are important things to consider. Some games don't need it, but some will. And that is, the developer, I think, has just got to go with their gut if they feel they should or shouldn't adapt the game to the newer generation. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any topics you would like us to discuss, please leave a comment with them and we'll get covering them as soon as we can. And yeah, thanks again. Until then, we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening.